There's a story that many of you maybe already know, but I will tell you again. It seems fitting in our context of our conversations from our B'nai Mitzvah. And that is, there is the story of these two brothers. One brother single, the other brother with a very large family. And they shared a mountain top, essentially. The single brother lived on one side of the mountain, and the brother with the big family lived on the other side of the mountain. And they had a great relationship, and they lived very close, one on this side of the mountain, one on that side of the mountain. And so when it came time for the harvest, they would sort of reap all their grain, and they would put them in their silos, and they would have them there. And there's this occurrence that happens with these brothers, that after this really particular plentiful harvest, this sort of surplus of harvest, the single brother wakes up in the middle of the night. It's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and he realizes, I have so much grain, and my brother, who has such a large family, could probably use some of the grain because I'm single. I don't need all this grain. So he takes a bunch of his grain, and he crosses over the mountaintop to where his brother is, and he deposits a large amount of his grain into the silos of his brother. And then he goes back and he goes to sleep. And 3 or 4 hours later, the other brother wakes up, and he thinks, I am so blessed with a large family and people and family to help me to till fields and work on these grains, and my brother, who is single, has really no one. So he takes a large portion of the grain from his silo, and he crosses over the mountaintop, and he deposits it in his brother's silo. And this goes on. The one brother thinks the next night, I still could give more to my brother, and takes from his grain, crosses over the mountaintop, deposits it in his brother's. The brother with the family wakes up, again, thinks, I love him so much, I want to make sure he has grain. And he crosses over the mountaintop. And this happens for days and days, back and forth at different times of the night, until they meet each other at the top of the mountain, each holding and carrying a tremendous amount of grain. And the one says, but I was bringing it for you, and I was bringing it for you, and this great moment on this top of this hill, according to Jewish thought and midrash, is the spot in which Solomon built the temple, because he thought, what could be a purer, more beautiful place than these two brothers who were looking out for each other? And the midrash is, that's where the first temple was built, that's where the second temple was built, that's where the Temple Mount is to this day, was at this spot where the two brothers meet, going back and forth and back and forth. And so I thought it fitting to share the story of Jerusalem, because we've been talking about all of Israel, water tunnels, hummus, Tel Aviv, but Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, for me at least, is the sort of center of the Jewish universe. That's kind of where we come from. It's where we pray to be. If you're sitting at your Seder, whether it's a 4-hour Seder or a 4-minute Seder, usually at the end you say, next year in Jerusalem, because we're looking to be in that spot, to be in that place. We'll long for that feeling of home that we get when we're there. And so that's an unexplainable warm feeling. And I've been to Israel. I think I calculated this last trip was my 32nd or 33rd visit to Israel. And each time there is this warmth and this connection that I feel when I'm in Israel, but particularly in Jerusalem. And the point of the story is to show us that it's not where sacrifices were necessarily made. It's not where the brothers met. It wasn't a holy site. It wasn't where Moses stood. It wasn't Mount Sinai. It wasn't any of these places. It was simply a spot where two brothers met. And that's the holiness of that. That's the special sense, the love for each other, the giving, the tzedakah, the connection that they had. And so I invite all of us to think not only of the beautiful words we heard from our 5 B'nai Mitzvah who got to celebrate together, along with the big trip and several other people who joined us. We were 100 plus. And so I invite all of us to reflect on the beauty of Jerusalem, the beauty of what the kids talked about, the beauty of the possibility of every single person having a chance to go and be in Israel and feel that presence and be everywhere in the country, but mostly in this beautiful city of Jerusalem. And so I want to end with this idea as we sort of head a little bit towards the high holidays and kind of going back into this, our system, school and work and summer ending, this sort of the rhythm of our lives. I invite all of us to, if not physically, metaphorically, in our minds, in our hearts, think about crossing to the other side of the mountain. Think about walking over and seeing what's over there. What can we do? What can we help? Who can we bring something to? Who might need something? If we have plenty of something, who might need it a little bit more? So I invite all of us to think of that crossover, bringing something over to the other side, or from this side to that side, because you never know who you'll meet in the middle. Shabbat Shalom.